On this episode, we learned one of the most important rules in baseball. There's no crying in baseball. We watched A League of Their Own, and you're listening to Geeked Out.
Popcorn in our hands, ready for the show. From the classics to the blockbusters, we're always in the know. Throwing references like confetti, we keep it real. Geeked Out Podcast, we here to make you feel. We're the critics you can trust.
Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of Geeked Out. My name is Kyle.
Yo, it's Juan.
And this is going to be our fourth and final film in our female-driven, female-led film series. This was my pick, and I chose the classic baseball film, A League of Their Own. Juan, I'm going to ask you right off the bat, is this a movie you were familiar with? Had you seen it before?
I mean, yeah, as a movie I was familiar with, absolutely. I think it's just one of those movies growing up, around the same age. So, people around my age, you definitely have heard this movie and know some of the quotes and even some of the scenes and some of the cast in this, especially if you are really into movies. But as the movie, no, it's my first time watching it.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, you mentioned the cast. This cast is an absolute knockout, a home run, if you will. Boom, boom.
Yeah, aside from, I knew the main people, but there were a bunch of actors that, a lot of the side characters were like, oh, I've seen you in things. I've seen you in things. I was like, okay, that's cool. And there's, that one dude that is, that guy. He's one of the biggest, for me, that guys in movies. I don't know his name, but he's in almost every other movie.
I have a guess. Is he one of the guys? Is he one of the guys who is into Rosie O'Donnell's character?
No, he's the guy that's basically in charge of the women's league.
Oh, the guy from Bourne Identity?
Yeah, that's
David Strathairn, yeah.
But I know him from that, but he's been in a bunch of things.
I thought for sure you were referring to Joey Slotnick.
Oh, no. And I do appreciate that in this movie, he's that character. He's playing a good guy, because most of the time he's playing an asshole or a double crosser or some type of villainous kind of character. So I appreciate that he's actually a sincere, genuine, nice guy in this movie.
Yeah, he might be the ultimate bright spot of this movie.
Absolutely.
I have a long relationship with this movie.
Because you played baseball, right? So
I've played baseball my whole life. I fell in love with the game when I was very young, and still to this day, I love watching the game, playing the game, watching movies about it, documentaries, the whole deal. This movie was shown to me by my parents when I don't even know how old, because this movie came out when I was 6 years old, so I wouldn't have seen it then, especially with some of the more adult themes.
All the women in bras.
That would have been part of it, but even some of the other stuff that the movie deals with. I probably watched it when I was a little bit older, and I absolutely fell in love with it. The characters, the story. I'm also very interested and intrigued in especially the World War II era. So this movie just kind of hits all those points for me. And the fact that it is based on a true story and a real league that actually existed, I think that's really interesting and really cool. And I thought for a movie for us doing a category of movies that celebrate women in film, I thought this was a great choice. Not only is it starring and focusing on mainly the women in the movie, but it is also directed by a woman.
I've seen that, surely.
Yeah.
Of,
Yep, from Laverne and Shirley.
One of my favorite TV shows.
And did you notice who the commentator was of the games?
Yeah, absolutely. I was like, okay, yeah, because I was like, okay, because I wasn't too sure that it was Shirley for sure. So I only know her Shirley, but I do recognize her like her real name. But I was like,
Mm.
is that her? I could have been wrong, right? And I was like, oh, okay. Once I saw the commentator, baseball commentator, I was like, oh yeah, absolutely. It's the dude from Laverne and Shirley,
Yeah.
which
But
I appreciate. I appreciate her putting her people on like that. You know?
it's well, there's more than just him, but it's funny because I only know him as Squiggy. I know him as nothing else.
Yeah,
But when I was
yeah,
looking at the cast list, it kept saying that Harry Shearer was the commentator, which I think he did more. I think he did like the newsreel commentating. I think the way that they
yeah. There is
listed
another
him.
commentator. There's other like
I think the way
radio
they,
voices in there.
yeah, I think the way they listed him in the credits, I was like, Harry Shearer wasn't the baseball commentator. What are you talking about?
Definitely was another voice that we just didn't realize.
Yeah,
It was the era of the radio. They didn't have TVs then.
nope.
Was it? What did they peg the year? Because it definitely was. It had to have been after 1938, because that's when Wizard of Oz came out, and there's a Wizard of Oz reference. So it had to be at
Oh yeah,
least
yeah. The
past
movie
1938.
takes place in 1943.
Okay, okay, okay. Yeah, 'cause they do mention that they were close to winning the war too, so that would make sense.
Yeah. So before we get
Okay.
into the movie, I'll get into the details of this real quick. So A League of Their Own was originally released on July 1st of 1992. On a budget of $40 million, it brought in a worldwide box office of $132.4 million. It currently sits on IMDb at a 7.4 out of 10. The critics on Rotten Tomato have it at an 82%, whereas the fans have it at 84%. It was directed, as we
Oh,
said, by Penny Marshall. It was written by Lowell Gant and Babalu Mandel, based on a story by Kim Wilson and Kelly Candelay. Sorry about, I don't know if I got that pronunciation right. The
Babalu.
movie stars Gina Davis, Lori Petty, Tom Hanks, Madonna, Rosie O'Donnell, David Strathairn, Gary Marshall, and the great John Lovitz. The synopsis of the movie is: during World War II, sisters Dottie and Kit joined the first female professional baseball league and struggled to help it succeed amid their own growing rivalry. I mean, that that's such, like, it's such a simple description, but it hits everything you need for this movie. It's the basis from the beginning is this sibling rivalry between these two sisters, and yet the overall point of the movie is wanting this league to succeed and do well. Of
It's a
course,
sibling rivalry, but it's a one-sided sibling rivalry, I'd say. More so on Kit's side. And
yeah,
it's also like her trying to step out of her sister's shadow. So I feel like Dottie, she never really viewed her sister as like a rival. But Kit definitely viewed Dottie as a rival. So it's there, but I just feel like it's one sided in that aspect.
yeah. I think that they're competitive with one another
They're
in the
definitely
strict
competitive,
form of the fact that they're just sisters and they're relatively close in age. But yeah,
but it
you're
feels
right.
like yeah,
I
Kit is
think
the one that
Dottie is
she's trying to
more.
prove something more than yeah. Go ahead.
Yeah, I think Dottie is more just she just goes out and does what she does and doesn't
Yeah,
really
she's
think of it.
clearly
Whereas Kit
yeah
views everything Dottie does as a slight against her.
yeah. She
Like,
takes it super personal.
I mean, even in the first, like the softball game we see them playing when they're at home in Oregon, she's saying to her like, lay off the high pitches because I know you swing at those and you can't hit them. So if you swing at them and you're going to hurt the team. She then tells her as she's going up to bat, maybe try a different bat that's lighter that you can get around on the ball in time. And it seems like if Dottie were to say the sky is blue, Kit would say, no, it's red. Like, it's just a constant antagonistic relationship between the two of them from Kit's perspective. And I understand it a little bit. I can't quite say I understand it a lot. I am myself an older sibling. I'm the oldest in my family. I have a younger brother. So I've never noticed anything like that. But
Yeah,
but if you look at the two of them, Dottie is like a foot taller. She's probably 3 to 4 years older. It just makes
clearly
sense.
more athletic. She's more athletic. She's clearly faster when they have their little race there. She's just a more gifted, talented, daughter, sister, and Kit knows that, and she's trying to prove herself
Constantly.
more, just constantly. That's she feels like she has to, and yeah, man, she's definitely jealous, and it shows all over her face and by her actions. But I get it though, especially if you are playing the same sport as your sibling,
Yeah.
and they are clearly better than you, and the one that people are praising and looking at, it's a difficult thing to get over, or even to accept.
One of my favorite.
Yeah, I love the way she's written. It's believable and it's realistic.
Well, one of my favorite interactions with the two of them is, so obviously at the game, Kit strikes out. Dottie is the hero who wins the game, and they're walking home. And I love when Kit says, "Haven't you ever heard the way that Mom and Dad introduce us? This is our daughter, Dottie. And this is our other daughter, Dottie's sister." Exactly. And every time I watch it, I'm like, I get where you're coming from. There's no fucking way your parents introduce you like that.
No, but that's how she's hearing it. In her head, that's what she's hearing.
That's her perception. Absolutely.
So it may sound like a joke, because it is, but for her, that she's kind of not joking. Like, she's kind of being serious.
Yeah. And right after we see this opening game, which obviously, like I said, Dottie's the hero, we're introduced to him at the game. I got to ask you, because I brought him up last week, what was your take on Jon Lovitz in this movie? Because
I thought he was going to be way more in the movie and way more creeped out. I don't think he was that creepy.
No,
but I think that's just him. That's just Jon Lovitz. Like, he just has that type of energy. He
steals this movie.
And my only thing is, yes, he's as a character, he's put in here, for comedic purposes, and he's the asshole. I just don't understand how this kind of a person could be a recruiter, because the movie didn't really show me that he's good at his job, and I wish they would have gotten
credentials.
That.
Yeah,
exactly. Give us a moment to show me that he was good at his job, so it justifies his behavior. But he just comes across as just an asshole. But that's Jon Lovitz. He's doing him, and I appreciate that. I was just questioning the whole just the reason why this type of person is even in this position to recruit young women.
Yeah, that makes sense, because even later when Tom Hanks is hired as the manager, it's quickly explained that he's a former player. He has this history with the game. Whereas Jon Lovitz, all he basically says is, "I know the goods when I see them," and she's the goods. They could have added a line in of him being like, "I've been scouting ball players for 25 years." Like, just even something that says, like, "I've been doing this a long time. I know what to look for." But I don't
give us a reason to justify your behavior without just giving us the asshole. Let us know, like, he's an asshole, but he knows what he's doing.
I mean, I will say that his one-liners, like, almost every quote that I think of when it comes to this movie, aside from the crying quote, pretty much most of them come from Jon Lovitz. Like, every time he opens his mouth.
Most of them are insults.
I was dying.
You're insulting somebody.
I mean,
he's good at it. He's good at those singers.
Just when from the first moment he walks in the barn and they're milking the cows, doesn't that hurt them? Doesn't seem to. Well, it would bruise the hell out of me.
Yeah, I mean, especially, they're going in on milking those cows. But the cows ain't cool with it.
Well, yeah, that's what they do. Yeah. But yeah, right off the bat, he's saying, "I want Dottie, I want you." And Kit's like, "I'll go. What do I have to sign?" He's like, "I don't want you. I want her, the one who can play." And immediately, again, Kit thinks it's like Kit thinks Dottie hates her, or something like that. When immediately, the minute he says something about her, Dottie immediately jumps to her defense. And she's like, she's good. She's a pitcher, but she didn't pitch today because she pitched yesterday or whatever. And and even Kit says, "I can throw you some pitches right now to show you what I can do. It would take, 5 minutes of your time?" And he's like, "No, I don't need to see it because I'm not interested." Until he grabs her arm, and his response is like, "Oh, maybe I was wrong," which I'm not saying arm strength doesn't come into it. I pitched.
Yeah.
I mean, growing up, I was a pitcher. Power from a pitcher comes from your legs and your core, not your arm.
Well, Rookie of the Year would say otherwise.
Rookie of the Year is nonsense.
What? That's not a documentary?
I wish I would have broke my arm when I was a kid. Well,
I would have,
a long time ago.
Even when I watched it as a kid, I tried to fall on a baseball like that a couple times. It didn't work, obviously. Just fucked my fucking stuff up for a couple hours.
Yeah, I can't see that one. I also, the other thing about that movie is I also can't see them setting his arm in that cast in that pose.
Oh yeah, that 90-degree angle.
Well, number one, if you're like that for a minute, say 6 weeks, which is usually how long a cast is on minimum, all the blood from his hand is gone.
Yeah. It's just, it wouldn't need the cast. Just amputate it. Yeah, it's funny.
But
no, I never thought of that as a kid. No, I never thought of that. But yeah, that would make,
But back to this movie.
90s movies.
What I had a question about now, when this movie starts up and they start, obviously, it starts on old Dottie going to see her old friends, because we find out later at the end of the movie that the women and the baseball league is being inducted into the Hall of Fame at Cooperstown. But
did that really happen?
Yes, it did.
Oh, okay. Nice.
So yeah, this league actually existed, the All-American Girls Professional Baseball League. It existed from 1943 to 1954, which I believe is what they do show in the movie. And,
really? I didn't think it lasted that long.
Yep.
That's crazy. That's very interesting.
And they were inducted, so that exhibit at the Hall of Fame was actually opened, I believe, in 1986 or 88. So a few years before the movie. A few years before the movie was made. But yeah, and a little bit of trivia for if you watched into the credits and you saw some of the older women playing baseball, those are actual women who played in the league when they were young.
Oh, okay. That's cool. I like when they do this thing.
Now, I will say that none of the characters in this movie are strictly based. Like, Dottie Hinson wasn't an actual person. She was based on a few different people type thing.
Was the team real?
Yep. The Rockford Peaches were a real team.
No actual players.
No.
Were.
No, but yeah, the Peaches were real, and they won.
Why did you think they didn't? It was a decision?
I think more of a creative decision.
Okay.
But yeah, the Rockford Peaches were the most successful team in the league. They won, winning 4 championships through the tenure of the league, and ultimately, when the league shut down in 1954, it was mainly due to a financial strain and the rise of television, and the fact that more people were driving cars as a family, and they were getting away from small town sporting events, I guess. More people were able to go to the big stadiums to see the Major League Baseball, I guess.
Yeah.
So that kind of ended up hurting the league and ultimately forced it to shut down. But yeah, there's an exhibit at Cooperstown for these women, and deservedly so. I mean, for what they did, I think is a huge thing, because it was a time that I'd be willing to wager that none of us could even come close to imagining what it would have been like to live in this time. And one of the notes, as anybody, like, just, but especially like that, yeah.
And I mean, that's why they call it the greatest generation, right? For a reason.
Absolutely. Now, one of the notes that I did write down, can you imagine right now,
okay,
say like World War III, can you imagine professional, well, I'm just saying professional athletes leaving their sport to volunteer to go overseas? Like, can you imagine a Patrick Mahomes or a Mike Trout or
I could see a couple like
LeBron James going and saying, I'm going to volunteer for the Air Force or the Army or whatever to go to war, like they did in this movie. I mean, you had stars like Joe DiMaggio, Ted Williams.
Yeah, you wouldn't have the top dog athletes. Hell no, you would definitely not.
Even just thinking of that aspect, it's such a different time that because none of us lived through anything like that, it's hard to wrap your mind around the mindset of people living in this time. And then you get later in this movie, especially these women who are either wives or sisters or relatives of some kind to someone fighting overseas. And
yeah, because you definitely know someone. There's somebody in your family, immediate family.
Exactly. And especially
immediate family that was drafted.
Well, and especially like a lot of these women, their husbands are overseas, and you never know, as we see later in the movie, spoiler alert, but you never know when that telegram might arrive that you're never going to see them again.
Yeah, and that's established an instant connection between all of these ladies. Because they may not be all married, but they have boyfriends or, brothers or maybe not fathers, because I think they had an age cutoff at some point.
I mean, if their father was in it, they were a high ranking.
Yeah. But, yeah, man, it affected almost every single American at that time.
And I feel that while this movie obviously is not a war movie, it still brings that aspect into this movie without showing it. Because most of the time, like, for example, you want to watch a war movie, you put on like a Saving Private Ryan. Well, this is the other side. This is what's going on with all of those guys' wives, sisters, daughters, mothers at home.
Mm-hmm. It reminds you constantly throughout the movie, but it doesn't stay too much into it until, certain scenes where, you are reminded that, this is the time period that they're in. And it's going to affect people very personally and in a devastating fashion.
Yeah, because in this opening, when Jon Lovitz is telling them that he wants them to play, he says to them, like, well, you can play and you also look good. That's kind of what we're looking for. And she says to him, oh, I see what you're getting at. And she says, I'm a married woman. My husband's fighting overseas. So right in the first couple minutes, you get, okay, they're setting up this league and they want a certain type of woman to play. But then you also get Dottie saying, I have no interest in stuff like that because my husband is over there. I'm in a constant state of worry. I need to be here in case he comes home.
Yeah, absolutely. And, you could tell she's a very loyal, traditional kind of woman. And she is happy to, she's accepting that role. And she's happy to, to play that role. And on top of being the worrying wife that needs to be home for her husband when he gets home.
Yeah. And Kit is the opposite, whereas all she cares about is she is getting out of Oregon and off the dairy farm, because she's like, nothing is ever going to happen for me if I stick around here. And she might be, I mean, I'm not saying she is, but she might be right. And so,
yeah, I feel like she's a character that never even took the time to figure out who she was, because she always believed herself as being Dottie's sister. She never really had an identity after it. And
she's too focused on what Dottie's doing, not what I can do.
Yeah, she's in a different place. She's trying to figure out who she is. And Dottie knows who she is.
Yeah, absolutely. So he basically tells her, if you can convince your sister to come, you can come to tryouts as well. And if it doesn't work out, it's only going to cost us a train ticket. So the next day they decide that they're going to go, and this is when they have to run to catch the train, and they're on their way to Chicago for tryouts, but they have to first stop in Colorado to see another girl who is Marla Hooch. Now, this girl can hit the fucking cover off the ball.
Right? At first I was like, is that Rosie O'Donnell? Because I know Rosie O'Donnell is in the movie. I thought this was the Rosie O'Donnell character, because, you know...
Originally, this is what she auditioned for.
That makes sense.
But they liked somebody else, so they actually wrote the part of Doris for Rosie O'Donnell. But yeah, this is Marla Hooch, played by Megan Cavanagh. And as I say, she's just not going to cover off the ball. And her father, I mean, does what a typical parent would do. He keeps saying, oh, she's got an eye like DiMaggio. And if she was a boy, I'd be in New York talking to the Yankees. And
I mean,
which he probably would be.
She's hitting that ball. She switched stances, which is not an easy thing to do.
No, and I love
slapping it, knocking that ball out with just doing both stances. That's a very talented woman, and I wish the movie would have paid a little bit more attention to her.
I mean, that's one of my. Unfortunately, they use her as a joke. Now,
and you can do that. But give us more of, character building if you want to, use her as comic relief, because she can play that type of character. But you set her up and you kind of just wasted her, which it sucks. It's one of my critiques.
It is, because
some of the side characters deserve more.
I agree. But yeah, it's the face John Lovitz makes when she takes her hat off.
And man, I was like, all right, bro, she's not unattractive at all.
She doesn't look like Gina Davis, but it's not like she's disfigured or something. Like,
yeah, it's not fucking grotesque. She's just not dolled up.
And that's what he says. He goes, I raised her like a boy because I didn't know any better.
Yeah, and you could tell. It's fantastic. That's probably why she got casted, because her body language was...
She does, yeah.
She had the physicality of a woman who was raised by a father to be a boy, basically.
I wrote down, because she's constantly like slouched forward. Like, I wrote down, she reminded me of Eeyore from Winnie the Pooh, just like, oh, all right.
A little, yeah. More of like a manly kind of stroll too.
Yeah, but even so the girls obviously protest, like, you can't not take her just because she's not pretty. Like, the girl can play her ass off. So he finally agrees, and even her dad understands what a massive opportunity this is, because when they're at the train station, she's like, maybe I just shouldn't go, because who's going to take care of you? And he says, like, honey, you got to get out of here if you're ever going to accomplish anything. Like, there's nothing here for you. And as hard as that must be for a father to say that to his daughter, and to put her on a train and basically say goodbye to her for who knows how long, he knows that it's what needs to do because he wants what's best for her.
Yeah, I agree. And there's a lot of that kind of sacrifice for the love of your family. That theme is, I think it's, I wouldn't say scattered throughout the movie, but it definitely comes up in this movie a few more times.
Mm-hmm. Now, we immediately basically do it almost like a jump cut from when she leaves on the train to them walking into Wrigley Field. Now, in this movie, Gary Marshall, Penny Marshall's brother, is playing Walter Harvey, who is based on, I can't remember his first name. I will look it up in just a second. Mr. Wrigley, who owned the Cubs.
Okay.
They walk into Wrigley Field because he supposedly owns the quote unquote Cubs or whatever. Philip K. Wrigley, it was the owner of the Cubs, and he's who Walter Harvey's kind of based on. And they go to Wrigley Field, and this is where...
Does he have a chocolate bar company too?
I believe it's Wrigley Gum.
Oh yeah. Okay.
So yeah, they show up at the field, and it's tryout time, and we get one more last golden John Lovitz moment before he's out of the movie forever. When the girls are so, aren't you staying? Or he goes, no, I got to go home and I got to shower and shave and give the wife a little pickle tickle, and then I'm on my way. I know it's such a juvenile line, but every single time I hear it, the way John Lovitz delivers it, I can't. I've seen this movie I don't know how many times. I still laugh out loud when I watch this movie.
Yeah, I mean, he knows how to deliver a line. He's quite popular in the 90s for a reason.
Yeah. And
he understood the assignment, and, he did his thing, and I'm glad we didn't get too much of him.
No, he's out of the movie. He's probably gone after about 15 minutes, and as I said, you never see him again until you see a picture of him at the Hall of Fame.
Well, you see the guy who plays the older version of him.
With the cigar, yeah.
But yeah, that's... Yeah.
Now... So again, this is a trial where you have all these girls, and we're introduced to All the Way May, played by Madonna, and Doris, played by Rosie O'Donnell, who they are friends from back home who are coming to do the same thing. They want to play ball. And immediately there's contention between them and Kit and Dottie, as if, like, you guys don't belong here, which I don't know why they would even write this in. I get that it's a competitive thing, but for it to just have a payoff within like 15 seconds, and then they end up all making the same team and they become friends. I don't understand what the point of it was.
I think it was just to show you the type of people, the type of personalities those two are. Because, they are... not traditional women, and they got a bit of grit to them, and they needed to show them in their introduction, I think.
Well, they got grit because they're from Long Island, New York.
Yeah, so I guess they wanted to show that off, that their personality right away, and that's the way they chose to do it.
Mm-hmm.
Which is, it's a thing. I think it's a very like schoolyard kind of behavior, kind of situation, and they just I think it's that's the kind of energy I was getting from it.
I just found it a little odd because, like I said, there's within a like by the time the teams are picked, they're all going to be friends.
Yeah,
but I mean, this is when we get a montage of the actual tryouts, which I got to say, I don't know if they got college athletes
or I wrote that down.
Whoever these girls were playing ball, they could play.
90% all the extras, no one had no lives or was not part of the main team. Yeah, those are definitely just women that are athletic, that has some type of history with baseball or softball. And they let them shine. And they just, they showed a little bit of Gina Davis going off, and Dottie and Kit a little bit, and Madonna, I think they just let her slide.
Yeah, she's the fast runner.
Because, I think she's probably not the most athletic person, so that's probably all she could really do, believable on screen, was to slide. Because she'd be sliding in this movie.
Yeah, I think in the whole movie, I think Rosie O'Donnell and Madonna each make maybe like one or two plays like 1 or 2 catches on screen, and then the rest of it is just them swinging the bat at the plate.
Yeah, because I think their movements didn't seem believable or athletic, and I think most of Gina Davis was her.
Yep. I mean, most I will say most of the female actors did their own baseball work, stunts, whatever you want to call it.
Mm-hmm.
So when they finally get the teams, they're broken into 4 teams of 16 girls. And again, another thing that shows the time frame of this movie is you get the one girl, Shirley Baker, who's standing at the board because she can't read, but she's too embarrassed to say anything. So
I didn't know what was happening. I was like, what? Because you didn't. Because she's like a pretty lady. I'm like, can she not read? Like, okay.
And
it's an interesting character with that. I liked it. It's not a traditional trope that you see in a movie. I like it because it's distinct, and almost every character on the team, like all the supporting characters, they all feel very distinct. And
every girl they focus on seems to have their own distinct personality,
and they're not,
which I really like.
Yeah, and none of them are annoying, and none of them are too stereotypical. I just wish we had some more time, or at least more dialogue with them. Because
the one thing
the
I
movie
didn't
set them
like,
up, like I like these characters. I just wish we had a little bit more info about them. But I get it.
The one thing I didn't like is when she's trying to find her name, the coach who's in charge doesn't not once ask her if she needs help or anything. He just immediately says, like, you're clearly on the cut list and you're just upset about it. Get out of here, like. And
because you assume
a girl
she can
comes
read.
over. Well, I mean, it's 1943.
But I get it. Yeah, it's the time period. Yeah, it's the time. You don't realize like that that is a real possibility for people, and especially a woman at that time. You don't really comprehend it.
But there's also even the dichotomy of, because they're women, now they're shown that they have to play baseball in a dress, basically, which those are actually what the uniforms looked like.
I mean, I get it. They look pretty. They're nice, but they're just not. I wouldn't say they're the most.
They're not practical
for athletic. No, not for athletic.
And like Gina Davis says, like Gina Davis says as the catcher, she's like, I'm gonna have to squat in that thing.
Yeah, I gotta do a lot more than that.
Well, and they even say in this league there'll be no smoking, no drinking, or no men. I'm guaranteeing you
Madonna
right now.
Immediately gets up. I love how Madonna immediately gets up.
I'm going to guarantee you right now, Major League Baseball has never enforced a rule like that. Ever.
No, and they also never enforced a rule where you have to
go to charm school.
Yeah, charm school, and walk like a lady, and be that stereotypical housewife.
Yeah,
ideal woman, I guess.
Yeah, because even once
it shows you just how much, like, even stepping into a man's world, a man's sport, you're still supposed to act like a woman, and it's
not just a woman, it's a proper lady,
a lady, and it's very eye opening, because I never, obviously I'm a man, I never saw it that way, but it's very effective in showing you how different times were for women.
Yeah, because even when they do the montage of like when they're introducing all the players, which they do it in a newsreel, which I really liked because it feels very of the time, and they show each woman like it's like, oh, here's Betty. She enjoys knitting and cooking spaghetti, and her teammates call her Betty Spaghetti. And here's Helen. Not only has she been part of different teams, whatever, she's also an accomplished coffee maker. And it's like, how about we just stick to the baseball? Because even they show, and it's
they're trying to sell like they're trying to sell like the sport basically. So they're basically like just glorified, billboard ads, and which was a lot of that happening around that time. A lot of selling, I guess, certain things being affected by the war, and this is just one of them.
Yeah.
So I get why they did that. It was a big thing. It just reminded me of when Captain America, this first Avenger.
The USO shows.
That's what it just reminded me of.
Yeah.
That's just like a glorified version of that.
But we get another. Now, this is even, I guess, the quote unquote media or the league. They do this is Dottie Henson. She's quite a looker, but don't get any ideas because she's married. And then it goes, and here's her kid sister Kit. She's as single as they come.
I was like, that is backhanded shit.
Well,
I don't think they would have done that back in that time, but I appreciate the comedy for what it was.
But then we get and again, it's unfortunate that they did this, but I laugh my ass off every time. The shot of Marla from like 30 feet away, and they just go, Marla Hooch, what a hitter.
Right? I appreciate that. The comedy works for the most part. I don't think they were overreaching or overdoing the comedy, but when it presented itself, it was I laughed pretty much.
Yeah,
every time. I'd say.
Now we get in this movie. They obviously have to have a manager. Enter Tom Hanks, and if you look at
drunken Tom Hanks.
Oh, constant. But when you look at, where this movie falls in his filmography, this is right before he goes on his tear. Because after this, he has Sleepless in Seattle, his back-to-back Oscars for Philadelphia and Forrest Gump, Into Apollo 13, Toy Story, That Thing You Do, Saving Private Ryan. Like, this man walked off set of this movie, stepped onto a rocket, and it's never hit the ground since.
And it's funny because this is the movie I've never seen this side of Tom Hanks before. Like, I've never seen him, first of all, be like this funny. He's been most of his other movies. There's no room for him to show that comedic side. And here it's front and center, and he's funny. Like he definitely has comedic. I understand. Yeah, he was in a sitcom and all. Like, I know he comes from, like, he has those roots.
Yeah,
but I haven't watched anything from that era.
Yeah, before this movie, a lot of his movies were comedies, and they're quite funny. I mean, like Turner and Hooch, The Burbs, The Money Pit. Those are all really funny movies.
Yeah, Turner and Hooch until it turns into the saddest endings of all time I've ever seen in my life. Anyways, and I had never really seen him be like an asshole.
He's a prick.
I've never seen him be like a straight asshole.
I mean, even to the point when he's talking to Mr. Harvey and he's like, oh, are you clean now? And he goes, yep, I quit drinking. And he goes, good, you finally saw the error of your ways? And he goes, no, I just can't afford it anymore.
Yeah. And the majority of the movie, you don't even like. You don't like him.
No.
But it's funny because you don't like him. He's a prick. He's an asshole. But you know it's Tom Hanks, so you know he's going to be good at. He's going to turn around at some point. So you're not all the way dismissive of him. You know it's coming. You're just waiting for him to turn around, basically.
And I think that's another thing is because I've seen this movie so many times, it's hard for me to remember what it was like the first time I saw it, because even when he's being an asshole, I still like him and I can kind of laugh at it because I know what happens and I know how his character turns. But yeah, like even off the bat, because the first time we see him before he even walks on screen, you get Betty talking about she has this baseball card of his that's her husband's that she's going to get him to sign.
Buddy, who?
And he literally walks by her and just rips it to pieces.
I had a reaction to that. I legitimately was like, man, like, oh no, I was
I mean,
emotionally affected. It was
not to make a joke out of it. Thankfully, he's never going to find out. We'll get to that later. But
yeah, no, yeah.
The one thing I did want to bring that I've never, of all the times I've watched this movie, I've never noticed before. So when they're looking at the list of the teams, Shirley Baker has shown that she can't read. When it shows they're in the locker room and all their lockers have the chalkboards above that say their names.
She could probably knows her name.
No, her name, there's an X because she doesn't know how to read or write.
Oh.
I've never noticed that, and I thought that was a really nice little touch that I've never noticed before watching this movie.
Yeah, no, I didn't notice that. But again, it's my first time watching, so it's not something you would catch on your first go around. And yes, things like that make the movie it's awesome when you can discover details like that to another second or third or fourth watch.
Now once obviously the season starts, again, we get a lot more jokes with Tom Hanks after the first season or the first game. And one of my favorite lines is when David Strathairn, who plays Ira Lowenstein, comes and he says to him, like, oh, I love the part in the fifth inning when you scratched your balls for an hour. Before you did that, I couldn't tell if you were drunk or dead. And
I mean, it did show him scratching his balls, which was like, all right, I wasn't expecting that. For some reason at all.
One of my favorite deliveries is when he says, I think it's right after he spits the chew onto his foot, which was disgusting.
Yeah,
but
that's gross.
He says to him, he goes, Jimmy, if we paid you a little bit more, do you think he could be a little more disgusting? And he goes, well, I could certainly use the money.
Yeah, definitely not. You weren't a hater before. You definitely were a hater at that moment. That was gross and uncalled for.
Yeah. Because he even has a line that he says, I haven't got ball players, I have girls. And he goes, girls aren't what you coach during the game, they're what you sleep with after the game. And it's like, I get that you're frustrated with where you are, but clearly you've allowed your career to go down the drain. Like, because he's not. So the way the movie is, you would think a manager, a former player, is going to be an old guy, but Tom Hanks isn't. He's not supposed to be seen as old because theoretically, had he not screwed himself over with the drinking, he could still be playing Major League Baseball right now. But he's just washed up and he's ruined his own career because of his vices. And
he's like on another path of finding himself. But he's also a character who's very self-destructive.
Yes.
And until he finds his calling, which he does later in the movie, he continues being destructive to himself and the people around him.
Yeah, and I mean, we basically go through the season. I mean, the season goes by throughout the course of the movie. You get a couple little moments here and there. You get the little, what I wrote, spawn of Satan Stillwell.
That little boy?
Yeah.
I want to punch kick that little boy.
When he hit in the last game, when he hits him in the face with the baseball glove, if I had a drink in my mouth, I would have spat it out. I laughed so hard.
It was perfect because he didn't cry after he took that shit.
And it hit him, and he had a look on his face like, what the hell? And just kind of like fell over.
Yeah.
And then you have that like Tom Hanks half yell, half laugh. But there's not a ton. Like, it happens like through the game, so you see plays here and there. And then we start to find out that the league's not doing so good, that they want them to do some things to really stand out. So you get like, especially Dottie doing like catching a foul ball while doing the splits, like doing things that.
You know how hard that'd be?
I I can't.
I don't think a man could do that.
No, I
Even
don't.
if
Well,
he could, like that takes a lot of athleticism.
Well, even the catcher on the other team, the catcher on the other team looks at her coach and goes, "I can't do that," and he goes, "Who can?"
No. And then she's catching fucking baseballs behind her back and shit. She's essentially like the first Harlem Globetrotter female baseball player, man. Because she was doing straight crazy tricks that I don't think most MLB players at the time could pull off, if I'm being honest.
And she can hit the cover off the ball too, so she can she's an all-around great player, and clearly is the best player in the league.
If there were more players like her, even though she's not based off an actual person, but if she was, and there were more players like her, the league probably would have lasted a lot longer.
Mm. And as she is part of the reason why she saved it basically from being. It was on death's door. It was a lot of her contribution and her athleticism. That there's her, but then there's also like the little promotions that they do, like catch a foul, get a kiss, which again is a weird thing because what happens if somebody like Dottie or Betty hits a foul ball? They're married. Why are they going to kiss a random person who caught a foul ball?
That's just a thing they did back then, man. Kissing, I mean, it didn't seem as taboo back then as it is today.
Yeah, I don't know, but as we move forward through the season, we see Jimmy finally starts to do some actual coaching, and he's actually getting behind the girls. And this brings us to, I mean, it's what I opened the podcast with. It's the most famous scene in this entire movie, and I think I read it's number like 48 or something like that of the best movie quotes of all time on IMDb. And there's no crying in baseball. Jimmy rips this woman apart. Evelyn is her name, because she missed the cutoff man. And
it's not like he really ripped into her, because if he treated her like, I guess, his coach or his manager, because he explains it, what his manager would say to him. So, and he was just explaining that. And so he could have, done that. And, I don't think she would have recovered personally, the character. So there was some restraint there. There was some restraint, even though.
Yeah, he says to her, "I need you to use your brain, which is your head, which is that lump 3 feet above your ass." And then we get are you crying? There's no crying in baseball. And he says, "Roger Hornsby is my manager, and he called me a walking pile of pig shit."
Yeah. So
my favorite insult might be
that he didn't go that far.
When the umpire says, "Treat all these girls like you would your mother," and he goes, "Anybody ever tell you a penis with a little hat on?"
Yeah, that was unexpected.
I have said that under my breath about some umpires just because of this movie. I won't say it to them because I don't want to get thrown out of the game. But in the years that I played baseball and in later softball or slow pitch, I've had some dust ups with some umpires. But when I say dust ups, I don't mean physical. I mean like I've argued and I've made comments. Yeah, sure. I've been ejected from games. I've also been an umpire, and I've had to eject people or eject parents from like little league games, and it's not.
I wish I could be an umpire. I wish I could be an umpire just so I can just eject people.
It's not fun.
No, it seems like it would be fun.
I mean, but then the problem is everybody gets pissed at you after.
Well, not
and then you've got to stand there and
not in this
the
movie.
Rest of the game.
Yeah, they definitely. It's a thankless position. The umpire, unless you're winning.
I was calling a game for probably like 9 and 10-year-old, and there was a parent just being belligerent that I had to turn around and be like, you're gone, get out. And I couldn't let, because of the way things were when I umpire, I couldn't let
you
the game.
The kid?
No, the parent. I couldn't let. But I said to the coach, I said he needs to go get in his car, and until he does, we can't continue the game. I looked over, and this guy had walked to where his car was, and instead of getting in his car, he climbed up on like the kids' playground so he could watch from there. And I pulled the coach over. I said, someone's got to go tell him if he doesn't get in his car, like he can't be around. The game will be called and your team will forfeit.
Because he's gonna be yelling from there, right?
Yeah, exactly. And it's like, these are kids. Like, and I know that you hear that all the time, whether it be baseball, soccer, hockey parents, whatever. It's ridiculous that you have to deal with that.
Yeah. It's those parents that are living their life, was it vicariously through their kids? And their emotions are just too tied into it, man. And it's a lot of ego too. And it's just a concoction that is very toxic.
Yeah. Now, back to this movie. One of the things the girls do as a bonding thing is they drug their chaperone, and they all sneak out.
Man, I love that.
They all sneak out to this roadhouse.
The chaperone. Can I talk about chaperone for a second? I clocked it immediately when I looked at her, and I love how the movie validates it, because that lady looks just like the Wicked Witch.
I love you, the Wizard of Oz.
I was like, because before he said it, I was like, that's the damn actress. She looked just like her. I was saying it like in the back of my head. Wearing. It's her face too, bro. She looks a lot like her in the face. And I know that actress. She definitely has a lot of similarities. And I was saying it in my head pretty much the entirety before it was mentioned. And then when they locked lips and he said that, I was like, oh shit, that shit was validating. Now, why was she vomiting so much? Just because of the kiss?
No. So that whole thing with the kiss was she was waking him up because the bus driver quit.
Yeah.
And I don't know what he was dreaming of, but he just thought he was being woken up by somebody else. And he said, oh, come here, baby. And he kissed her. And then he freaked out, which, again, another great Tom Hanks delivery. Lou quit. Who is Lou?
Right?
No.
And he looked like he was hungover.
She was vomiting. She vomited because May poisoned her dinner.
Oh, okay.
So that they could all sneak out to go to this bar.
Oh, okay.
And at this bar, they have a great time. The dancing scene is phenomenal. Madonna, all that swing dancing stuff is great.
I appreciate that they explained why this choreographed dance is happening right now. I was like, something that would definitely take months. Yeah. And also, I was like, okay, it makes sense. And also because, she's Madonna. She's a very famous pop star. So it makes sense why she would bust the moves.
But Madonna is not the one singing in this scene.
If you can call it singing, I call it wailing.
I love this scene. Marla just on stage singing.
Very baritone.
What did you guys do? What did you guys give her? Just a dress and a lot of liquor?
Yeah, it was a great scene. It was, I appreciate that it was in there. It was like, the dance sequence was great. All the ladies, it was definitely a bonding experience for the girls.
Yeah.
And, I just wish we could have stayed in it a little bit longer, because it's a perfect setup to give us more character development for some of the side characters. But what it was, I appreciate for what we got.
Yeah. Now, as we go through this, obviously throughout the season, they're doing things to improve the league, and by the end of the season, the crowds are basically sellouts, and we get to a scene that the writers were upset that they had to work around because of the time. They couldn't have
the black
people of color.
They had their own league, right?
No,
Or
they did.
no?
The women didn't.
I was just gonna correct myself.
So yeah, the women couldn't. So the writers were kind of upset because they wanted to add that in, but then they're like, it's not historically accurate. So they added this scene in where the woman comes on field to pick up the ball and she throws a fucking rope. And there's just that little nod to Gina Davis as if to say, like, we may not be allowed, but we can do it just as good as you. Which the writers...
there's this little subtext there where there are even more oppressed class of women out there. And they weren't. I appreciate that they even took the time to show that. They didn't have to at all.
Well, and that's the writers decided to add that in for that specific reason because they were like, as much as we want to put them in, we can't. So we're going to add a scene to at least acknowledge. Because if you look at it, there are no women of any visible minority or ethnicity aside from white in the league. Which, again, it's the time they were in. It's super unfortunate.
That's just, that's...
But for the entire time the league existed, even though Jackie Robinson broke the color barrier in 1947, there was the girls' baseball league was always completely white, unfortunately.
Yeah, I can see that. Even women's rights weren't established.
No, not
established at all. Like around the 60s, 70s, I believe.
Yeah.
So
again, those are some of the real things that this movie drew attention to people who wouldn't have been around back then, who might not have considered some of those aspects.
Yeah, now, it respectively shows you that women in general, no matter what race or creed, all have athletic ability or the ability to do something that is male dominated. And again, it's respectable that the writers put that in there. They didn't have to at all. It's not necessary.
It's a scene that I really like. Now, a scene that I don't really like, well, it's not even a scene, it's a fact of the movie. I love the fact that Marla and Nelson from the bar end up getting married. I think that's fantastic. I love that Marla was able to meet somebody and she had that ending for her. What I don't understand is, why did she just leave the team? Like, I get that you guys want to go on your honeymoon and whatnot, but the season's almost over. Just stay and finish it and then do your whatever it is you want to do after the season. I've never understood why they just kind of wrote her out of the movie.
And this would have been the perfect time to have some more backstory for that character where she could have explained that kind of life is what she craved more, but, being how she was raised and how she about herself, it wasn't.
But they allude to the fact that she's coming back the next season. Because she even says as she's getting in the car, I'll see you guys next year.
Oh, yeah, she did say that.
So I'm like, why are you leaving at all?
Exactly. I wish they could have just added some type of dialogue to where it was needed to explain that part. Because you set up this character that seemed to be one of your best hitters, and she's not really utilized at all, and then
she's used for jokes through the movie.
Well, yeah. She's only utilized for comedic purposes instead of her talent that was originally showcased in her introduction. And then, after being used for a couple scenes, you just kind of thrown into the back, and then never used again, which is, unfortunate.
One of the things I do want to say, so I had mentioned earlier that the women in this movie did predominantly their own stunts, their own baseball playing. You know the scene where the girl slides and she has that huge raspberry on? Yeah, that's Alice, the catcher. She has that huge raspberry on her leg. That's real. Yeah. And that took over a year to heal.
I heard that. It was one of the facts that if you're into movies and like hearing about behind the scenes stories and involvements with actors. It's one of those famous things that you heard that happened.
Yeah, if that would have been if I was one of them, I would have walked right into that the guy in charge of the league, and I would have shown him and been like, "Put us in pants next year."
Right. It's like the equivalent to whenever you talk about the Lord of the Rings.
The breaking of the foot.
The same thing. Exactly.
Oh, that's that pain is that scream is real because he's in pain because he broke his toe. Did you know that?
You know he broke his foot. He broke his toe right in that moment, right? That's like it's played off as a joke now because so many people know it.
It's the ultimate elbowing moment, huh?
I know. It's the Leo DiCaprio.
The point, yep. So yeah, I mean, and then we get to the end. They win their last game. Rockford is in the playoffs. I don't know what kind of playoff system they have. There's only 4 teams in the league to begin with.
Can we talk quickly about the letter scene?
Yeah, we're getting to that.
Oh, okay.
That's yeah, that's actually right here.
Okay, sorry. I saw you just jumped right to the last game. I'm like, oh shit,
no, because that's actually when they're
cover some things
when they're in the quote unquote playoffs. Because before we get to that letter scene,
actually,
Dottie is in a place where she's kind of had enough, and she's just gonna quit. And Lowenstein comes in and he sees her like kind of packing up, and he's like, "What are you doing?" And she's like, "I'm leaving. I'm going home." And he's like, "No, we can't do this." And what's the problem? And it must be your sister. I can do a trade. And she's like, "Yeah, that's fine. Trade me or do whatever you got to do." And then we see Kit come into the house where they're all living, and we find out that she's been traded to Racine, which is the team that they're going to be playing. And unfortunately, Dottie says, like, I told him to trade me, but unfortunately, Kit's the one who gets kind of sent on her way. The next scene is where we get the telegram.
Yeah.
And to take this movie that has been a comedy this whole way, and it just completely turns the whole thing on its ear and reminds you once again what the realities of this situation are and were.
Yeah, you forget that these women are wives, sisters, mothers.
Because you started to look at them as just ball players.
Yeah. And at that point, you're already connected with a lot of the characters. You're rooting for the team. So when something affects them, you feel it. And it's definitely shown off in that letter scene.
And it doesn't help that
it's
the guy
highly effective. Oh yeah,
it doesn't help the guy delivering it as a complete jackass. Like, he walks in and he's talking to himself, and he's like, "Oh man, I hate delivering these. Oh, a telegram from the War Department. Oh, I hate delivering these. Oh, they should send someone out to make it more personal to tell you that your husband's dead." And then he's like, "Oh, I can't find the name on the checklist, so I've got it." Tom Hanks is like, "Give me the letter and get the fuck out of this room."
Yeah. Well, it's I'm sure they did it just to add a little bit of more emotional weight to that scene.
Yeah.
Just to get you a little bit more riled up for when that payoff or that letter hits the unlucky lady.
Because it does. He just opens it and he sees it. And if you notice, as he starts to progress his way through the locker room, the women that he's already passed are running out the door. It's almost like, oh, he's passed me, so I'm safe. But when he finally gets down to it, it's Dottie and Betty sitting side by side. And they're really the only 2 characters who have kind of talked about their husbands being in the war.
Yeah. I knew it was going to be Dottie because, I mean, we've seen pictures. We've seen pictures of the husband. Is an actor that we know.
Bill Pullman, yeah.
I was like, I don't think they're going to pay that man just for his image on a damn fucking picture frame. So
no, and even all Tom Hanks does is he hands her the letter and he says, "I'm so sorry, Betty," and she just loses it. Which obviously that's what would happen, and not only is everybody consoling her, immediately Tom Hanks picks her up and holds her and hugs her, and it really shows how far his character had come, but it also reminds everybody what
It's a turning point for his character.
this was
'Cause
like.
I don't think there was a middle ground there. I think he was basically asshole up until that moment. Maybe he softened up a little bit. I think he softened up. Yeah, he softened up because he wasn't coming to every game drunk as fuck. He started to believe in the team slowly. But that was definitely the complete turnaround, was that moment where he put the shit out of that male carrier.
Yeah, and he put the girl's interests above everything else. And yeah, it's a hugely impactful scene, and the gravity of the entire the gravity of the entire movie and the time frame is portrayed in this one minute and a half scene. It's brutal to watch. And unfortunately he says to them, I know it sucks, but we've still got a game to play. And we don't even see any of the game. We just hard cut back to Gina David, to Dottie, in her bedroom in the house, just crying because she knows that could have just as easily been a letter telling her that Bob was dead.
Yeah.
And then, of course, who walks in the door?
Yeah. I guess they wanted to... I wonder what the decision was not to show us that game.
I think because they wanted just to go immediately from what happened to Dottie crying, and then immediately you don't have to worry about that anymore because he's home.
Mm-hmm. But it was just a little, I wouldn't say a little, maybe a little jarring going from that scene to that scene without that little bit of a bridge, or at least any context of what happened.
Mm-hmm.
But, I mean,
spoiler alert, they must win because now they're in the World Series.
Exactly. I just wish we would have gotten a little bit of that. At least them playing emotionally.
Mm-hmm.
I wish we would have gotten that, because I think that would have... cinematically, just watching it, I think it would... It would... I don't think it was necessary, but I would have liked it.
Yeah,
just to see how that affected their game.
Yeah.
And that's another part, one of my critiques. I just wish we would have had more of the other teams. At least maybe a rival team, if you want to focus on one team, and we would have gotten some players, some characters from that side.
Yeah, I mean,
the movie didn't have enough time to focus on that, and I understand.
Yeah, the closest we get to a rival is the Racine team, because you get a little bit of the talking with the catcher, and then you have Tia Leone, who's another notable actress who plays their first baseman. But other than that, every other girl on any of the other teams might as well be just a faceless baseball player, because there's no screen time given to any of them.
Yeah, and there's just no room in the writing for that.
And I mean, the movie's already 2 hours and 5 minutes, so to go into any more, I think would have put the movie at almost an unwatchable length. I think I read somewhere that the original...
the movie didn't have time to develop the characters in the team, so I understand why they,
Yeah, I think I read the original...
characters in there.
The original cut was around 4 hours or something like that.
That makes sense. Because this, I don't... As a limited series, I think it would have done...
They tried it.
Terrible. I heard about it. But only because in order for this to work, you got to have a good cast.
Yeah.
It's the ensemble. And I can guarantee you that ensemble isn't nearly has as much compatibility as the series. I think it was on Amazon or something.
Yeah, it was not. I watched it. It was not good.
Yeah. I can guarantee you it was because the people cast it.
Mm-hmm. I mean, another thing that so we get Bob's return, and then immediately the next morning they're all getting on the bus ready to go to the World Series, and Dottie's quitting. Like, her and Bob are going to drive back to Oregon, and Jimmy goes and approaches her, and he's like, "You can't do this. Like, stick around. Like, you're abandoning your entire team after all this work that you guys have put through." And she's like, "Nope, we want to go home and we want to start a family." And he's like, "Hey, you guys do what you want. I am in no position to tell you otherwise." But he's like, "If you leave, you're going to regret this forever." And I don't know. I love what he says to her, like, because she said, "Oh, it just got to be too hard." And he says, "It's supposed to be hard. It's the hard that makes it great." And I love that quote from this movie. And that's all it is, because then she leaves and we go into a montage of basically they end up splitting the series. They're now tied 3-3 going to a game 7, which if Dottie would have stayed, I can't imagine that. I think the Peaches would have swept in 4, because if you really think about it, they've lost Marla and Dottie, their 2 best hitters. Kit got traded, who was their best pitcher, and they lost Betty after her husband passed away. They've lost 4 of their top players, and they still manage to go 3-3 in the series to force a game 7.
Yeah, it definitely would have been a blowout. It would have been not much competition.
I wrote, is Dottie like a secret villain in this movie? Like,
no, she's just a character that you could tell she loves the game. She loves the game. But she doesn't want to admit it. I don't know why. She won't admit it. She doesn't. I don't know, man.
Because even in the beginning,
I wish we would have gotten that throughout, or at least that explained somehow in the movie as to why exactly she does love playing, but she doesn't care at all.
Because even in the beginning, when her daughter is telling her, like, "You're going to this," she's like to the reunion thing, she's like, "Oh, it wasn't even that big of a deal. It was just something that I did."
And then when she gets there, she's all like, all these memories. As someone who, clearly loved that moment in time that she was in, but at the same time, she could care less. It's just strange. It's a little strange because we don't understand her mindset or why she, you know what I mean? Like that aspect of her personality.
Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, we get game 7 and we get the little surprise reveal that Dottie is actually
like, you don't know that was her. You didn't know that was her, Tom Hanks.
He just keeps, Alice, can you hear me? And she stands up. "Yeah, I hear you. What the hell are you doing here?"
Couldn't recognize that was her. Okay.
And
I get it.
The game goes basically a stalemate to the 9th inning. Dottie, in the top of the 9th, Dottie hits in 2 runs to go up 2-1. And I mean, just being a baseball fan, the biggest mistake of the Racine manager is not intentionally walking Dottie, but that's neither here nor there.
And honestly, I think the whole movie set itself up for that show-off between Dottie and Kit.
Absolutely.
I think they kind of foreshadowed it when they were on the farm, and she mentions like all she wants is to make the big play or something like that, right? Something along those lines.
Yeah, she says something like, "If you hadn't gotten in my head, I would have hit the winning run and I would have been the hero."
Yeah, it's a subtle little, foreshadow, and it sets up what happens at the end. Well, and it shows it kind of predicts, because I knew exactly, honestly, what was going to happen. I had a feeling that even before Kit got traded, I feel like she was going to end up on a different team.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's just a trope in sports movies, or maybe that's just how they set up the movie in its writing, and I just picked up on that. Mm-hmm. But I just knew where the story was going based on what was being presented to me.
Yeah. So yeah, we get Kit comes up to bat with one runner on, so she's the winning run at bat with 2 outs. And Dottie specifically goes out to the pitcher and she says, high fastball, she can't hit him, can't lay off him. Takes 2 strikes, and sure enough, on the third one, it's almost like I learned, and she hits the ball, I mean, basically to the fence. And it's to the point where she's almost thrown out at third, but she completely ignores the stop sign and runs through it. And there's the convert. They throw the ball into Dottie at catcher, and she runs her over. And the big question that people have had with this movie is, did Dottie drop the ball on purpose?
That's a question. That can't.
Oh yeah, it's and the reason that people have a question about it is because if Dottie is willing, like, to go out to the mound and basically say to the pitcher, "This is how you beat her," why would she immediately then give her the win?
Because she was struggling with that decision up until the last second.
I agree. I think she dropped it on purpose, which again,
100%.
Does that make her a villain? Because she's now let down her entire team just to please her bratty, whiny little sister.
I think it was to give her sister that moment that she feels like she stole from her so many times.
But don't you feel like that's kind of a slap in the face to her teammates?
Absolutely. Absolutely. But again, they presented this story as a sister's story, basically, in its very core of it. And these sisters, it's also showing you what sacrifice for your family, just in general, just sacrificing for your family.
Mm-hmm.
And
I mean, like I say,
I saw it that way. She definitely dropped it on purpose, and I think agree. The movie set itself up, and I think it shows you that that's what she was going to do. I 100% knew that she was going to drop that ball.
Now, I will say,
just how they established their relationship.
It's not an ending that I particularly like, only because, like I say, had Kit beat her on her own merit, that's fine. But to gift it to her, basically, and because Kit, like I say, has just been a whiner the entire movie, like, oh, woe is me, everybody feel bad for me. It kind of bugs me that she gets the win in the end.
But I understand where she's coming from. Like, I totally see it from her perspective. Because she just wants her moment to shine. And she's never had it. She's never had it. Even being a professional athlete, she's still under her shadow.
Yeah.
And her big sister, she knows this. So she gave her that moment so that she could finally have or not be under her shadow. Now she can be her own person. And this is I wouldn't say a rebirth, but in a sense, lack of a better purpose, just a rebirth for her being her own woman.
Yeah.
And she gave it was a gift. She gave it to her.
Yeah, so the game's over. We find out.
It sucks because her team is crying, and you feel for the team because you're rooting for them. You know, in any other movie, they would have won. But this movie, as much as it is a team about a baseball, a team of women playing baseball,
it's about two sisters.
More than that, it's a story about two sisters.
Yeah.
And stepping out of your sister's shadow and the sacrifice it takes to do that.
Yeah. And I mean, that's obviously the end of the game. Racine wins. Kit's the big hero, and after the game, the two of them kind of meet and kind of hash things out. Like they're on good terms. We find out that Jimmy has turned down a AAA managing job because he's committed to the Peaches, and Dottie is going to go back home to Bob. She only played one season in the movie, and we fade back to the present day. It is, but we fade back to the present day where Dottie's at the field and the older women are playing now. I think the casting of this woman as an elderly Geena Davis, I think it's fantastic.
It's marriage between getting somebody who looks like her enough and the actress mimicking.
And it also helps that Geena Davis dubbed the lines.
Oh, okay, so that makes perfect.
Now, for the longest time,
was like spot on. I was like, she's doing a really good impression.
Yeah. Okay. I mean, for the longest time, I thought this was Geena Davis in old age makeup, and I think a lot of people did.
I did for a second, and I realized no, there's no makeup that's good. The makeup would be too good, and the facial structure isn't 100% the same. Mm-hmm. So that but I just recognized I've seen Geena Davis in there, but not just in the little things that the physical performance and obviously the dubbing of the voice. Now that I know it was the dubbing of the voice, is the voice that really got me too. That sold it. That made me believe that it was the older. Okay.
Yeah, so that was very effective, and she goes and she meets some of the players, and then we get to see the opening of the exhibit at the Hall of Fame, which, like I said, is actually there. Of course, the pictures in the Hall of Fame are not of Geena Davis or Lori Petty, or they're the actual women.
And I don't know why, but anytime you have a movie that is a time period and you flash forward and you spend time with the older people, every time it brings out an emotion in me.
Yeah, it makes it feel more real.
Like this, and like Saving Private Ryan at the end, or the movie Life with Martin Lawrence and Eddie Murphy. Each one of those movies were able to give you a good enough emotional build to where the payoff when they're older in the flash forward, you're just filled with emotion, and that's what I was at the end of this. Seeing the older selves and the introduction in the Hall of Fame, it got me a little emotional. I'm not gonna lie.
Absolutely. I would say the one for me that does it the best is not even a movie. It's the miniseries Band of Brothers. Because before every episode, they have the actual veterans talking about what goes on in each episode. And they don't tell you who any of them are until the end of the last episode. They start putting captions on, like, to show who each person is. And of all the times I've watched that series, I don't think there's ever been a time that I've gotten through that last episode without actually crying, because of that emotionality you get, knowing that all the stuff that I've just watched, these are the real people that went through it. So you're right. It does evoke a certain emotionality and it's very effective in this movie as well.
Yeah, 100%. And I understand why. I can't even hate on that little boy. I understand.
I love his scene as an adult.
Why they put him in at the end, even though it's Francis from Pee-wee's Big Adventure. I'll let that slide. I was like, okay. You redeemed yourself, little shitty ass little boy.
Even the
it took
just the decades. Line, even just the line that where's your mom? And he just goes, Mom died. And then when they finally get into the exhibit, he's just looking up at a cutout of his mom, and he doesn't say a word, but you can see that emotion on his face. That obviously he's not the real child, but for a split second, if you suspend that disbelief enough, you believe it.
Yeah. No, they set up the scene very well. And I think what helps with this, honestly, throughout the entire movie, that helps you connect with what's happening on the screen even more, on an emotional level is the score.
Yeah.
I noticed the score in this, and come to find out it's from Hans Zimmer, so it makes sense.
Yep.
That if you're paying attention to the score throughout a lot what's happening in the scene, it's helping manipulate how you were feeling in the scene, especially, and I love how they were playing with the score, especially with certain scenes. Specifically when they're doing the baseball call out with the like sign language. I don't know what it's called in baseball.
Oh, yeah, just doing the signs.
And it was because every time, Tom Hanks' character will do it, it would be a certain type of score, it'd be like a very aggressive. And then when they would go to Geena Davis, very Dottie, it would be a different score, but it'd be very soft or more floaty. And then it came together in almost a harmony, almost a harmony before, the scene ended. And I liked how that went in with the scene, and it scatters throughout the whole movie, man. The score is very, very well done, and
and that's what a good.
It elevates this movie, because it adds so much more emotion to the writing and the acting and the performance in the scene.
Yeah, and that's what a good score does. Is it takes those scenes and it just elevates them just that much more. So that's going to bring us to an end on our discussion of A League of Their Own. I think we've done pretty good getting through this movie. I think we can move into our final thoughts, recommendations, and ratings. I suggested this movie, so I will. I'll go first on this. As I said, this movie to me is an absolute classic. Fun fact: this is the highest-grossing baseball movie ever made, and it's also Tom Hanks has said that it is one of his favorite movies that he's ever made. And you can see it in just the way that, especially when they're playing baseball, you can see the enjoyment that these actresses are having going out there and doing it. The cinematography is fantastic. The baseball, like the actual playing, I always, when I watch sports movies, I'm always critical about, does this look like they're actually people playing the game, or does it look like actors who are trying to play? And these girls can play. The acting I thought was great. The chemistry all around the entire team. They felt like a team, not just a group of people or a group of actresses. They felt like a real team. And the chemistry as sisters between Dottie and Kit, I thought was great. Lori Petty and Geena Davis did such a great job. And the chemistry with Geena Davis and Tom Hanks, I thought was great. Now, I do know that the original idea was they wanted there to be some kind of a romantic thing between them. And they actually filmed a scene where they kissed, and Penny Marshall was like, no, absolutely not. And thank God, because that would have just like kind of ruined her whole character of being this so hardened on, I have a husband and I'm waiting for him to come home and yada, yada, yada. Dottie is not the type of character who would have done something like that. And I am so thrilled that they left that on the cutting room floor and it did not get into this movie. I can't praise this movie enough. Like you said, even the score is fantastic. I would give this a clear recommend to anybody to watch this movie. It's fun. It's funny. It's suspenseful in terms of the sports. And it brings you back to a time that I didn't live in. I don't even know. Like I said, I can't even imagine what it would have been like to be alive in this moment, let alone to be a woman in this moment. But I think it really does an effective job of showing that on screen and what they were feeling. And I'm going to give this movie an 8.5 out of 10, and I cannot praise it enough.
Yeah, I definitely agree. For the most part, this is an amazing sports movie, and what's amazing about it is it's more than just a baseball movie. It's a baseball movie set in a time. It's a period piece. It's also it just shows you exactly what a snippet of what women were going through at the time. Uh, and it's like I definitely it's eye opening to see uh from their perspective for sure. Um, this is a sports movie, so it definitely has, and I do appreciate that. It does have a good amount of sports in it. Uh, and yeah, for the most part, it doesn't seem like actors are playing. It seems like you can believe that these are women that have athletic ability that were chosen to play professional baseball. Um, I think the character development for the most part was was good. It was well written. Every character, the main character and side characters all feel distinct. I just wish we had more of certain side characters. Um, I think one of the highlights of this is definitely Tom Hanks. He, even though he starts off as a pretty selfish, bitter, washed up kind of character, his character arc definitely gives the film some of its heart. Um, the rest of that heart definitely is the relationship between Buddy and Kit. I think in the core of its movie, it's that sister relationship, and their conflict seems very real between just two siblings, especially one sibling that is more gifted, and the other sister is clearly envious, and but also has love for the sibling. It's not too much disdain there between them. You do feel the love between them. Uh, the only thing that doesn't work, like I said, are some of the side characters. I wish we had more time or at least more dialogue to develop some of these characters, because they're all great. Um, but some establishing characters were kind of thrown to the side, which is, it's unfortunate. Uh, yeah, this movie definitely it balanced very well comedy, drama, sports, and the drama between the team, and the drama between family. The chemistry between the cast is great. The ensemble itself, I think, it's something that is hard to do in movies to get to to nail every character to where there's not one that is a weak link, and it's appreciated that. So shout outs to the person who casted this. The writing's great, really good direction. You could tell it was a woman director just because of just how relatable, or at least a lot of the things that they touched on would be something a woman would relate to, and you could see that. Uh, yeah, I definitely had a good time with this. Uh, I give this movie a solid 8 out of 10.
Okay, so that's going to wrap us up on the movie A League of Their Own, and it's also going to wrap us up on the mini-series of female-led movies. Now, moving forward, Juan and I had discussed doing something throughout the year to kind of lead up to the big moment coming later this year in December, and that us being gigantic geeks and nerds, as you can tell by the name of our podcast. Avengers Doomsday will be upon us by the end of the year, and we've decided to slowly pepper in some different MCU content throughout the year. So what we're going to be doing first is we're going to be doing a short little series on some different MCU origin movies. And obviously that means their first solo movies by themselves, showing kind of how they became who they are from different MCU heroes. And Juan is going to have the first pick on this, so I'm going to turn it over to him. And Juan, what are we watching?
Well, I mean, the moment you said origin movies of the MCU are just movies that were going to be either referenced or connected to Avengers Doomsday. I think this is the first one that came to mind, because it's one of my favorite origin movies, even though people don't appreciate it as much. But I think over time it's getting more appreciated. This character, I think, is the second most important character in the MCU.
Okay.
Yeah. And since A League of Their Own is set in World War II, let's stay in that time. And let's establish one of my favorites. I think literally my favorite character in the MCU. Our first movie for this new series is going to be Captain America, the First Avenger.
I love it. He was definitely on my short list, or not he, but that movie was definitely on my short list. So let's just say, had you not picked it, I definitely would have with one of my picks. It is one of my favorite origin movies of the MCU, and again, I couldn't agree with you more. He is one of my favorite characters.
Yeah, and this movie established. Yeah, this movie, especially Chris Evans being this character.
Yeah,
he elevated the status of Captain America into such a beloved, it elevated his status in comic books, but also elevated his status in other forms of media too, into a household name. Because even though he was kind of known before this movie came out, after this movie, like I said, he became a household name.
I mean, I knew him before this movie, but again, I'm a huge movie nerd, so I don't know if everybody else knew him quite the same. But yeah, no, I'm super excited to watch this movie. It's, like I said, it's one of my favorite MCU. I mean, typically the Captain America trilogy, I guess you could call it, are probably three of my favorite MCU movies. So I am super excited for us to watch the first Avenger next week. Excuse me. So until then, that's going to bring us to an end to this episode, and like I said, to our series of women-led or female-led films. And we would like to thank everyone for listening and subscribing, and we would also ask that you give us a rating and review. 5 stars would be nice. Also, tell a friend or family who likes movies to give us a listen. And as always, give us a follow on our socials, which will be posted in the show notes. So until next time, thank you for listening. Thank you for subscribing. Take it easy, everybody.
Peace.